Today, we're going to unpack a single, pretty boring looking number that, believe it or not, reveals a massive global power shift. It's a story that connects a slowdown in one superpower to the incredible rise of another, and it is all happening right now. So here it is, 1.4%. In February 2026, this was the number that just sent a jolt through the entire financial world. U.S. GDP growth, well, it had fallen off a cliff. It went from a roaring 4.4% just a few months earlier to this. And on the surface, yeah, it totally screams hard landing.
But here's the real question. Does this number actually signal a classic old-school recession, or is it hiding something way more complicated, a fundamental reinvention of the world's largest economy? That's what we're going to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, you see, this isn't your typical economic downturn. You should think of it more like a Rorschach test for the economy. You look at it one way, you see decline. But you tilt your head and look at it from another angle, and you see a deliberate, calculated pivot. There are two completely different stories hiding inside this one little number.
Okay, so really understand what's going on. First, we have to break down the most obvious reasons for this sudden cool down. What slammed the brakes on the American economic engine? Well, the first big factor was something we'll call the federal paralyzer, a record-breaking 43-day government shutdown that kicked off in October 2025. And this wasn't just, about closing national parks. It completely froze the Treasury, it stopped vital economic data, and it single-handedly ripped over 1.2 percentage points right off the top of the GDP. The economy basically just lost its pulse for over a month. But there's a second piece to this puzzle, and it's a little more psychological. After years of hearing about higher for longer interest rates, the average American family finally felt that squeeze. People are still working, but they've slammed the brakes on buying wants and are focused almost entirely on needs. The whole era of just spending on whatever you felt like, it hit a brick wall. Now, if you really want to get the vibe of this new economy, you don't look at government spreadsheets. No, you look at the shopping carts rolling down the aisles of America's biggest retailer. So in February 2026, Walmart reported this absolutely staggering number in revenue. A huge success, right? Well, yeah, but the story behind that number is where things get really, really interesting. It is not at all what you think. Here's the twist. A full 75% of Walmart's growth, it came from households earning over $100,000 a year. You heard that right. The upper middle class is choosing to recess. They're swapping the fancy boutiques for Walmart, all to protect their savings. And this perfectly illustrates the second part of the story. See, Walmart isn't just a retailer anymore. It's a tech company. Its e-commerce and its digital ad businesses are absolutely surging. They're not just hiring more people to stock shelves, they're pouring money into AI-driven systems that actually require fewer people. This shift builds into the hidden engine of the new American economy. Because while the physical world is slowing down, something else is quietly catching fire. And it's creating what economists are calling a K-shaped economy. The physical economy, trucks, factories, logistics, that's on the downward slope of the K. But business investment in the virtual economy, intellectual property, AI, infrastructure, that is soaring. It's up by 7.4%. There's a name for this strategy, the digital lifeboat. In this new low-growth world, companies have figured out they can't hire their way to bigger profits anymore. Nope, they have to automate their way there. It's a massive strategic pivot. And this is where our story jumps across the ocean, because this huge pivot in the U.S. is creating a powerful ripple effect, and it's forging an entirely new economic reality for India. For India, this American slowdown is really a double-edged sword. The old model of just outsourcing cheap labor, that's starting to crack. But a massive new opportunity is opening up. As American companies automate, they're creating a huge demand for high-end talent to build and manage those AI systems, often through these dedicated innovation hubs called Global Capability Centers. And this is driving a truly historic evolution. India is rapidly shifting from its old role as the world's back office to its new role as the world's indispensable AI laboratory. We're not talking about call centers anymore. We're talking about building the core logic for the next generation of global business. So what does this tale of two realities, this stark contrast between the physical economy and the virtual one, what does it all mean for the future?
Well, it looks a lot like this. You've got the U.S. economy chugging along at 1.4%, kind of shedding its old skin, and then you have India's economy, forecast to grow at a blistering 6.9%, basically fueled by its new role as the engine for America's AI future. A new global order is literally taking shape right before our eyes.
So that 1.4% number, it's not a sign of economic death. It's a sign of metamorphosis. The U.S. is making a painful but really necessary pivot. And what looks like a hard landing for its old industries is the very same launchpad for India's new tech economy.
And this leaves us with one final critical thought. We are witnessing a fundamental pivot from a world that was powered by physical labor to one that's going to be powered by digital logic. The big question for the next decade is who will be the ones building that logic and who is going to be left behind?